This evening there's a familiar face back in town. Former Ulster coach Alan Solomons is now the man in charge of opponents Edinburgh. And when these two teams last met, Ulster collected a bonus point win. It's Ulster versus Edinburgh, live from Ulster Rugby headquarters. And the home side boosted tonight with the return from international duty of some of their Ireland call-ups. Luke Marshall, Darren Cave and Andrew Trimble are amongst those, all back for tonight's game. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ulster Rugby Live. It's round 8 of the Rabo Direct Pro 12 on a pretty chilly night in Belfast, but this is the perfect warm-up before a weekend of autumn international rugby. Big game on Sunday, of course, Ireland against the All Blacks. Kick-off here in Belfast, just a couple of minutes away, and time to remind you about our half-time feature this week. We meet a remarkable young man. Teenager David Ross, who suffered serious neck injuries while playing rugby for Wallace High School, and we find out how he's been using wheelchair rugby to help his recovery. Well, joining me in the studio tonight, I've got an Ulsterman and a Scotsman. Good evening to Bryn Cunningham and former Scottish international Andy Nicol. Andy, I would imagine, first of all, this place has changed a bit since you were last here, hasn't it?
Very much so. I think it was, 2003 I last played. I first played here in 1986 for Scottish schools against Irish schools, and it's a very different place.
Bryn, expecting an Ulster victory this evening?
I think on paper you'd have to say that, but we were chatting about it earlier, and Edinburgh's a bit of an unknown quantity here. There are a number of guys there we haven't seen play an awful lot this season. Obviously Alan Solomons has brought in a lot of new faces as well. There's a strong foreign element to it, which Alan Solomons has done in the past with some previous clubs, so it'll be interesting to see. I like a look of Edinburgh's back row, fairly strong, so probably a breakdown will be a crucial area this evening.
When we look at this Ulster team tonight, Andy, no Muller, Best, Pienaar, Bowe, Henry, Williams, Olding, but it's still a pretty impressive starting 15.
Oh, very much so, and especially when you get people like John Afoe, Roger Wilson, I think is a great player. But you look at the backline team, for me, the fact you've got Paul Marshall and Luke Marshall, Darren Cave, Trimble, Gilroy, that's a strong backline. Whenever the Pro 12 goes on during the autumn internationals of the Six Nations, it's always a test of the strengths of the squads. And I just think you look at Ulster's starting 15 tonight, just proves that they've got a much stronger squad than Edinburgh have. Because with Edinburgh, I don't know how some of these good players are going to play, because we don't know too much about them. As we've been saying, that the players have come in, Alan Solomons brought them in, we don't know what they're like. Some of them are getting their first starts here this evening.
Yeah, Alan Solomons perhaps doing what he did with Ulster and rebuilding this Scottish side with the help of the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Alan Solomons is that it's all about structures. He tries to put solid structures in place, particularly with sides that are maybe struggling. Whenever he came to Ulster way back, Ulster was not a professional setup. He came in with a stick and he made it into a professional setup. Some people didn't like it, but it actually worked and it brought Ulster forward. I think he's going to do the same thing here with Edinburgh. It'll take a bit of time to do that.
He was late in as an appointment. He wasn't there at the start to do all the planning. So I think he's been behind the 8 ball a wee bit with regard to recruitment. So he's almost gone back to what he knows. He's gone back to the Southern Kings and he's brought in Dupree and people like that he knows. And I think he's been given that licence to do that. It's not gone down fantastically well in Edinburgh, I have to say. There's still a lot of comments about it. You look at that side now, there's not many players there qualified for Scotland. Now, with only 2 professional teams, Stephen, that creates a bit of confusion.
The Ulster team tonight will be interesting to see how the halfback combination gets on. It's a big night for James McKinney starting at 10, Bryn.
It's a big opportunity for McKinney. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities this season. Obviously Paul Marshall inside him is actually one of the elder statesmen now, so he'll be looking to put a stamp on it, but McKinney will need a big game now to really put his foot down for the rest of the season. Okay,
thank you, Bryn, thank you, Andy. Andy, lots more from you at half time, but now it's time to join our commentary team. Tony McWhirter, and good evening to Jim Neely.
Well, good evening, Stephen. It's a good evening in terms of the fact that there's no wind. It's a firm pitch. It's very dry, but it is bitterly, bitterly cold as the visitors from Edinburgh take the field here at Ravenhill, led by that fellow wearing number 7, Roddy Grant. It's not a bad looking forward pack with a couple of internationals, Aleki Lutui, the veteran Tongan, in the middle of the front row, and one of the Southern Hemisphere signings, Tomas Leonardi from Buenos Aires in Argentina. 3 cap players in the backs. Greg Thompson, Jack Cuthbert have won 1 cap each for Scotland, and Ben Atiga, the New Zealander, won his only All Black cap 10 years ago. Roddy Grant, born in Botswana, hasn't played senior rugby for Scotland, but he's played sevens for Scotland. He's played underage rugby for Scotland as well. And here's a man who's been a regular in the Ulster side for, well, half a dozen seasons now. Robbie Dyack leading this Ulster side out, determined after a very poor performance by their own standards last time out at Páirc Scarlets against the Clonethley Scarlets, will be determined to get back onto to winning ways. They've played 7 games. They've lost 3 of them, and the 3 games they've lost were the sides that they had no problems with really last year at all. So Robbie Dyack leading the side for the very first time in what's been a distinguished career. He's committed himself to Ulster for another 3 years, so assuming he doesn't extend it further, he'll be here for 9 years altogether. Welcome back from a little bit of injury to Irish international Ian Henderson. Roger Wilson, strong number 8, comes in at very short notice, was meant to be on the bench. And the front row is the same one that started against the Scarlets, Black Herring and the formidable John Afoa. Luke Marshall, released by Ireland, makes a welcome return to Ulster. Coming back too from injury, Craig Gilroy, only his 3rd game of the season, and interesting, the 3rd time that he's played fullback, and Andrew Trimble and Darren Cave there as well.
Give me an idea.
Very strong-looking Ulster replacement bench with Tom Court and Dan Toohey in there, and a new face, David Shanahan. More about him as and when. The referee is the former Welsh under-21 international Neil Hennessy, refereeing a 16th league game. He's a lecturer in coaching science.
Thank you. White. Time on.
Harry Leonard, the then broadside half. And Edinburgh have committed one of those very silly, elementary and cardinal sins, really. And they've had a man in front of the ball when it was kick-off. So Ulster will get the option of receiving the kick again, but I have a feeling Tony McWhirter, and I'm right, I'm glad to say, they're taking the scrum.
Yeah, the scrum's been a pivotal weapon for them all year, Jim. A schoolboy error there from Toohey getting himself in front of the kick. Ulster will be looking to give a good platform, a nice settled start, quick clean ball and front football for young James McKinney at outside half.
Ulster about 5 pounds a man heavier. No Chris Henry, Dan Toohey's on the bench, no Rory Best. He'll be winning his 70th cap for Ireland on Sunday against the world #1 side, the All Blacks. That's a good Ulster scrum, well controlled at the back by Wilson. Comes to the near side, needs a bit of help, gets it from Sean Doyle, who's done a bit of clearing out. Marshall, Callum Black, who's been in impressive form, particularly at set piece time, but that's good defending by Edinburgh and by the Argentinian Joachim Dominguez. Dyack, Ulster's captain, Michael Allen, twinkle-toed off the wing.
Waiting.
Paul Marshall. Big Lewis Stevenson, who captained Ulster to a good win at Ravens level against Connacht last week. Well, that was a good bit of defending by Edinburgh. Referee has given the scrum to Edinburgh.
Something Alan Solomon's used to say, Jim, whenever he's here, first up tackling is non-negotiable. That's something that Bryn's alluded to before the game as well. Good structures, first up tackling, that's very effective defence from 7 and 8, evoking the turnover.
In quickly, please, thank you. 9, stay with. Crouch!
So it's Edinburgh's put in Callum Black on the Ulster loosehead side against W.P. Nell in the 2nd season with Edinburgh. Good squeeze on by Ulster.
I will.
But they get it away. Leonard back inside to Bennett Teagan, now 30 years of age.
Good contest, no, you didn't
away
have it.
Again. Well, what a thumping hit that really was by Ulster. Andrew Trimble came in off his wing. Edinburgh looking for quick ball on halfway. Now they've got it. That's good defending by Ulster. Callum Black doing a good job, but the visitors, I think, have just about turned it round.
You needed one more from their team.
Well picked up by Leonard. Craig Gilroy, great to see him back in an Ulster jersey.
It was touched, Gary, it was touched. Touched.
Well, the referee is bringing the it back to the Ulster 22. He's telling his touch judge Gary Conway that an Ulster player touched it before Craig Gilroy kicked it, I think.
Yeah, there wasn't much confirmation from the referee after the kick was made. I think Craig Gilroy obviously very unaware of that situation, thinking a simple touch fine would be good enough.
The line is yours.
It's hard to say even from the replay there as well.
More! Line out over.
Yeah, was he outside? Hard to say. Anyway, great forward drive by Edinburgh from their own line-out, taken on by number 8 Cornell Dupree, the 22-year-old from Port Elizabeth and the Southern Kings, where he was coached by Alan Solomons. This is Aleki Lutui, who served a 2-week suspension quite recently. And again, it's Edinburgh been very aggressive. Tomas Leonardi, the 18 times capped Argentinian, is Leonard. Doyle just gets him by the ankle. And there was a bit of accidental offside there. Edinburgh running into their own man, and they got an advantage, and Ulster will be glad to get the put into the scrum. Lively start by Edinburgh.
Yeah, just what you come to expect. Taking runners off 9, doing the hard yards, then we see the screen pass behind 2 or 3 forwards as Leonard looks for space out wide. But again, Ulster need to get the press a little bit quicker, Jim. We're sitting back and giving Edinburgh time to actually run at us, and subsequently they're getting over the gain line quite easily.
That's Harry Leonard, just 21 years of age, born in Brighton. This is his 8th successive league game for this season.
Crouch!
Just about 10 metres from the Ulster line, maybe even a little bit less.
Bind! Early white!
Ulster ping for stepping in a little bit on the early side. They've gone for the quick tap. This is Lutui. Well taken down. Ulster need to get men out of the way. And the referee's given a penalty against Tomas Leonardi, the Argentinian. Now 35 years of age, the oldest member of the Edinburgh squad, Aleki Lutui. 33 times he's been capped for Tonga. And that's James McKinney. Not the best contact in the world, but he's got it away.
Yeah, it's important that the Ulster forwards give James McKinney a nice platform. He needs some solid front foot possession, clean, give him some time in the ball. I think it's also important and interesting that Ulster have taken Luke Marshall and put him straight back in there. A little bit of a comfort blanket, the experience and a talker outside him.
Even though Luke Marshall's just turned 22 about a week or so ago. Great line-out take there by Ulster. Now the ball's on the ground, it's coming back on the Ulster side. There's an Edinburgh hand was in there, the referee just missed it. Marshall trembled pretty quickly out of the blocks there. Back on the Ulster side, bit scruffy. Play on, says the referee. Wilson. Darren Cave tidies. And that's an intelligent kick by Darren Cave. All the way back is Greg Tonks. Now cap once for Scotland, despite being born in Pretoria. Gilroy, James McKinney. He's got Trimble outside him, who's telling him to kick. And kick he does. Again, not the greatest contact, but that mightn't work out badly. Trimble knocked it backward. Good grappling work there by Sean Doyle. Leonard. Well, enterprise by Ulster. Here's Marshall, who decides to go route 1.
Thank you.
And that's not a bad kick.
Ulster just struggling to find a rhythm here, and perhaps it's not understandable in terms of where they've been. It's been 3 weeks since they've had a game. They've also had the added effect of a number of these guys being in the extended Ireland squad, so they haven't even been up here and training. Just take a little bit of time just to work themselves back in terms of patterns and calls.
7.
Edinburgh's ball on halfway.
Stay in the 15. Good.
Leonardi took it in. Tackle was by Doyle. Lutui.
Tackle move.
Roger Wilson gets out of the way. Leonard again. Atiga.
Off your feet, 6.
Quicker ball. Leonardi, who's been prominent so far. We played coming up to 8 minutes. Also managed to slow that down. I don't think they've done enough to turn it over, but yes, they have. Well, the ball obviously wasn't on the ground, Tony, so it was a maul as opposed to a ruck.
Yeah, ball held up. Robbie Diak coming in, just getting hands on the ball. Referee's happy to let the contest develop and the ball not being secured.
Again, good work initially by Callum Black. And despite Edinburgh's efforts, it didn't come back. There he is. 5th start of the season, and is his 3rd in a row. Tom Court, who's off to pastures new at the end of the season, and he'll be missed for all sorts of reasons, is on the bench, but Callum Black is doing a more than decent job.
Yes, 9. Both teams wrestling there. Wait for the ball, please, gents.
Ulster just nudging forward, but the referee, Neil Hennessy, deciding there was a little bit of wrestling going on.
Delay the wrestling match until the ball's introduced, please. Here we go.
Ulster have got most of their forces out to the right-hand side of the field. Ulster's right.
Bind. Set. Yes, 9.
Good strike by Rob Herring. Again, good control by Roger Wilson. And Sam Hidalgo-Klein very nearly got it. Was knocked forward by him, though, and Ulster will get the put in again. Bit of a mix-up there between 8 and 9 for Ulster.
Yeah, Roger just lets the ball squirt out. In some ways, Ulster may be lucky there. If Hidalgo had been able to pick the ball up, there was an open field in front of them. But scrum's been a little bit messy, but it's not understandable with Vickers Blau and WP Nell. They're 2 very experienced South African props that Edinburgh now have on board.
Yeah, they're very short and they're very chunky. And for a long time, the Edinburgh #1 jersey was worn by the great little man who was called Chunk himself, Alan Jacobson. What a character he was, and what a good scrummager he was too. Now retired.
Set.
Up 10 minutes gone, still no score. Hidalgo-Klein is round quickly. James McKinney has a little glance, that's charged down. He really delayed that, the pace of the game a little bit, just too much for him. The idea was right, he was going to kick from right to left for Michael Allen, but Ulster still have it. Lewis Stevenson.
4 move.
Marshall. Cave, nice float on the pass. Now here's Herring, who can run a little bit, as you can see. And Lassie's given the ball away. There's a chance for Edinburgh. It was knocked forward, I think, by Dougie Fife, the Edinburgh right wing 3/4. And good idea by Ulster, but they very nearly blew it.
Looked very fleet-footed there, Rob Herring as well, didn't he? Carrying the ball in 2 hands, looking for options in terms of the offload. But also looked quite dangerous, nicely straightened here out wide. And it's Herring again. You see the ball in 2 hands, options always available. He just forced the offload. Slightly unlucky.
Yes, he was very well tackled, and he was tackled with a fair old bit of oomph. I think he might have got himself injured in that. He has got himself injured. He came down in the flat of his back and on the back of his neck. Irish qualified Rob Herring, played in all 3 games for the emerging Ireland side in the Tbilisi Cup in Georgia last June.
Some advice from my AR for far side, a couple of early reps, just a bit more honesty in your end. Wasn't material, the same.
He seems to be fine.
Happy? Time on. Stay here, gents. Yeah.
Bitterly cold night at Ravenhill, and you can just see over the top of that steaming scrum how the construction is coming on. Well, there's a couple of people who have lost their way a bit. I can't believe they're still in Ireland celebrating the Australian victory last week. Maybe they're heading off to Murrayfield tomorrow.
Bind. Set. Yes, 9.
Marshall's got to get it in. Free kick against Edinburgh. Marshall ran into one of his own players. Here's McKinney. Luke Marshall.
Away, Black.
Dyack nicely back inside, well taken on by Ian Henderson. Recovered from a dislocated toe. McKinney inside to Craig Gilroy. Well, we've missed that at Ravenhill. Marshall, Paul on the narrow side. Henderson. Good support from Roger Wilson, but good Edinburgh defence. Roddy Grant in the middle of all that. That's a good turnover by Edinburgh. Latoué. Again, it's Leonardi.
Back you go, 3. Back you go.
Hidalgo-Klein. Referee telling John O'Ford to get back.
Take him back.
And back to Greg Tonks.
Don't move. 1.
Now taken by Gilroy. Doyle. Now Michael Allen with Cave outside him. Was that forward? Not so. Oh, nicely done by Cave. What a clever piece of interplay. And then unfortunately Ulster give it all away because somebody came in from the side. That was the best piece of play of the match so far.
Beautiful, a couple of absolute miracle offloads here. The pass without looking by Michael Allen, and then we see the ball behind the back from Darren Cave. Great support as well. Just unfortunate Baku were all going off their feet at the ruck. That's magnificent to see. That's what the crowd want to see. But isn't it good to see Craig Gilroy back spinning out of tackles, looking for work?
Well, Craig Gilroy's inclusion has given Ulster an awful lot of options.
Quick enough. Just make sure the entry is
Payne
correct.
carrying a slight injury, and Michael Allen got a bit of a bump.
That's good. Hold the gap. 5.
Definitely a night for scarves and woolly hats. Lutui, good line out. Pulled in by Vikas Blau, the 27-year-old, born in Windhoek. It's a good kick by Hidalgo Klein. Allen's nudged it forward. Ulster can't touch it, otherwise they'll be offside. Hidalgo Klein, who's a pretty lively youngster, only 20 years of age. Lutui, who's some 15 years older than him.
Going backwards.
I think the initial knock forward by Ulster is going to bring a scrum to Edinburgh. Coming up to 15 minutes played. Well, Michael Allen didn't take his eye off it, but he was, I think, distracted by a non-rushing Edinburgh player.
I think you have to give credit there to the, first of all, the box kick, and secondly the chase. Both of them right on the money. Michael Allen just in two minds. He knew the cavalry were coming down on top of him and just took his eye off it at the last minute.
Good position this for Edinburgh. They've got their entire back division out to the left-hand side of the field as far as they're concerned.
Set. Yes, no.
Good squeeze by Ulster. Good scrum by Callum Black. Hidalgo Klein has done well. Taken by Ulster's captain, Dyack. Oh, Dupree's got away. This is going to call for a big tackle, and he's stretched, and I think he's got that one down. And what a start by Edinburgh. This scrum wheeled round. Ulster couldn't quite do very much about it, and it was well finished off. And what a blow that is for Ulster's hopes.
Cornell Dupree is someone that Alan Solomons has taken from the Southern Kings. Comes very highly rated, and just look at the turn of speed here. Scrum wheels. Roger Wilson gets taken out of position by the wheeling scrum. Dyack makes the tackle. Michael Allen misses. It's a good score with the stretch. Knew exactly his line of running and where he was in the pitch as well. But again, Michael Allen will be disappointed with that. That's a tackle he should make. The touchline should always be the defender's friend. And in there, he's been overpowered, really.
Yes, he just went a little bit on the high side, and Ulster should know, having watched people come to terms with Nick Williams, that a big man like that's got to be taken fairly low. Anything higher than waist level, he's going to brush you off. So Harry Leonard, who's got 123 league points, played every single game this season so far. Started 6 or 7. Struck that a little bit scruffily. It may just carry, and it didn't quite make it. Well, a bit of a let-off for Ulster. It could so easily have been 7 points. But as it is, with over 16 minutes gone, Ulster trailing by 5 points to 0. And somebody has gone off the field. Well, that's not so good. That's Ian Henderson who goes off, and he's hobbling, and I'm wondering, is it that toe injury again? But Dan Toohey has come on the field, so it's one Irish international for another. Dupree gets it away to Leonard, who was very nearly charged down by Michael Allen. Well, that's a bit of a blow for Ulster, Tony.
That is a blow in terms of certainly ball carrying capability in the set of forwards. Ian Henderson would be probably Ulster's main prime ball carrier. But Dan Toohey comes back this evening with something to prove, having spent 3 weeks away in the Irish squad and without getting any game time. So
that looks like a bit of a hamstring tweak. He dislocated his toe somewhat bizarrely against Montpellier in the away game in the Heineken Cup, but he seemed to be fine, and it's not going according to plan for Ulster. They conceded a try, they've lost one of their Irish internationals, and now Rob Herring has thrown the ball in squint.
Yeah, it's rusty, isn't it? Just needs a little bit of oiling. Just need to settle down, get some ball. I think first of all, I don't think we've actually been in the Edinburgh 22s yet. Let's get some ball, play it in the right part of the pitch. The scrum looks as if it has the upper edge. And let's get the forwards into this game.
WP Nell on the near side of the front row of the Edinburgh scrum. Good squeeze by Ulster. That's a bit more like it, much more aggressive, and has forced a penalty.
Number 3.
Penalty was against Nell from coming up, but he was under fierce pressure there from the technically proficient Callum Black. And Robbie Jack has asked James McKinney to have a shot at goal. Right decision?
Yeah, I think so. We need some points on the board. I think we need to try and get the crowd into the game as well. It's the first time that we've actually heard him as the referee's blowing his whistle there. But great scrum from Callum Black. Robbie Diak staying down. Very important the back row stay on their men. Flankers scrum with their props. And just goes up through. WP Nell stands up, and quite an easy decision for the referee.
Well, James McKinney making his very first competitive start of this season. And with Paddy Jackson involved with international duty, I think the plan was to perhaps play Stuart Olding tonight at outside half, and he did so well playing for the Ravens last week until the very last minute, where he ruptured his anterior cruciate ligament and is having an operation on Wednesday. But that could be him, and probably will be him, out for the entire season. So James McKinney has an opportunity here. Not much of a run-up. Leisurely swing of the leg, that needs to carry. Oh, what a good kick by James McKinney. Looked as if it mightn't have the legs, and then it decided just to creep over, and that will give James McKinney a boost, and will give this Ulster side a boost.
Beautifully timed. The young man apparently is a very proficient cricketer as well. And that just looked like he's hit a nice cover drive, just 2-yard step in terms of run-up, and slotted beautifully.
Well, coming up to the end of the first quarter, only 2 points between them. Ulster ambushed a few minutes ago by the try by the Edinburgh number 8, Dupree. Here's Roger Wilson. Great receiver of the football from restart kicks. Paul Marshall. Callum Black, whose scrum probably brought that penalty. Paul Marshall again. McKinney. Much more confident kick this time from McKinney. Hasn't found his touch. Leonard to Greg Tonks. Played at full back for Scotland against Samoa in the Four Nations tournament in South Africa way back in June. Latui takes it forward. Veteran of a couple of World Cups for Tonga. Leonard tries to move it wide. Atiga. This is better stuff now by Edinburgh. This is the big fella from Buenos Aires, Joaquin Dominguez. Hidalgo Klein, nicely weighted pass. Ollie Atkins from Hobart in Tasmania. Hidalgo Klein again with that clever kick. And that's coming down just outside the 22. Well taken by Gilroy, who's well tackled by the enormous Dougie Fife. McKinney. Nice little flick pass. Here comes Trimble. Luke Marshall decides to kick and finds Tonks, who gets away from him. Good support. Almost an interception by Ulster. Well, Ulster being a little bit maybe too brave for their own good, Tony. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a little bit of enterprise. I think certainly it was on the go with the initial pass from McKinney. Marshall then has decided to put to leather, and maybe it wasn't the best kicking option that could have been there, perhaps something in the air, but better from Ulster in terms of receiving the ball, going through a couple of phases and then clearing their lines well. Good chase line and slowing down the Edinburgh ball. That then gives them a chance to get the press on and get themselves back into this game.
Looks as if Ulster are going to make another replacement. Michael Allen is limping off. And that looks as if it would mean a call-up probably for Ricky Andrew. It is indeed Ricky Andrew, who I think will go to full back, and Craig Gilroy will go on the wing. So, well, that's unfortunate for Michael Allen. So two of Ulster's rising stars, first Ian Henderson and then Michael Allen off. And Ricky Andrews on, and he will go to full back with Craig Gilroy moving out to the left wing.
Crouch!
A little knock forward, I think, by Andrew Trimble has brought the scrum for Edinburgh. 22 minutes gone. Ulster trailing by a couple of points. It's another good Ulster scrum. What a great squeeze they put on. Hidalgo Klein, Harry Leonard, without a lot of room in which to move.
Hands away.
Luke Marshall made the tackle.
Still in. Stay up, Black. Use.
Ball is still in there. Pick up and drive by the Edinburgh tight forwards. Hidalgo Klein again gets it to Latui, who's very well tackled. Leonard has to kick. Somebody has to call for that, and Gilroy called for it.
Release, Black.
Here's Paul Marshall. There's a half-decent chance here. Roger Wilson thought about the pass and sensibly held on. Paul Marshall again. Big Lewis Stevenson.
Tackle move.
Good presentation. Marshall changed his mind. Narrow side again. Good pass by a forward. Dyack. This is better stuff. Wilson makes ground inside. Callum Black into WP now. Quicker ball by Ulster. McKinney. Andrew. They miss him out. Luke Marshall. Good transfer. Well done by Trimble. Dan Toohey, who scored a couple of tries from the poacher's position last time here at Ravenhill. And there was nobody there in support of him. He presented that ball back, and well, you could have made a cup of tea by the time somebody got to him. And Ulster have lost that and lost their impetus. Hidalgo Klein, half charged on. Tonks dumped into touch. Legally by Toohey, I think.
Toohey's been a massive difference since he's come on. A couple of ball carries, two big offensive tackles as well. But this is what you see from him. There's a bit of snarl and bite. He likes the banter. He likes to get in the opposition face as well. And it's really what the Ulster team need, Jim. They need someone to get in here and grab this game by the scruff of the neck. Let's get into it. We're standing off. Edinburgh look very comfortable defensively as well, but we're just not able to produce really any quick front football.
Well, this was the incident. It was nicely moved. McKinney delayed the pass beautifully. Luke Marshall got it away, and Trimble out to Toohey. And Toohey had a real go at Big Jack Cuthbert. And Toohey presented the ball there. Now, that seemed to be, he was hanging on. The referee was happy enough with it. Then it was pinched. And there's something happened after that. That was the charge down kick by Toohey himself. Well, there was nothing wrong with that tackle. I couldn't see anything wrong with that. I don't know why they're referring that.
I think the question may be whether he's played him in the air or not.
To tell you what I think.
Peter Ferguson's the TMO. We might just hear what he's going to say to Neil Hennessy about that. I don't think there was anything untoward to his tackle, but somebody's going to have to go off and get a bit of a stitch. It might be Jack Cuthbert.
Look in the big screen.
Okay. Thank you.
So they're going to put this up on the big screen so the referee himself can have a look. Now there's the charge down. There was nothing wrong with that with Toohey. Tonks gathered it. Now was he in the air when he was tackled? If he was in the air, I think it's going to be a penalty, but nothing else.
I think he was in the air.
He was in the air.
It's clear that he's still in the air.
So it's going to be a penalty against Toohey.
Okay, thank you.
But I don't think it's anything other than a penalty. And a bit of a telling off.
It's a charge down kick, so he's not offside because he's not waiting to play the ball, but then your man has tackled him while he's in the air, okay? Penalty. Thank you.
Well, Dan Toohey's been a frustrating time for Dan Toohey. He's spent the last 2 or 3 weeks in camp with Ireland, but hasn't been involved in any of the matchday squads, and obviously because he's here tonight, he's not involved against the All Blacks.
No, but he certainly looks as if he has the bit between his teeth, which is good to see as well. And it's, you know, as we've said earlier on, it's something like the Ulster Pack need this at this moment in time, because there's no snarl out there. They just look as if they're going through the paces. We talked about being rusty earlier on, and it's just been a continuation of those first 10 or 15 minutes.
Latui. Ulster tried a challenge, but it was well taken. Jack Cuthbert has in fact gone off, and Tom Brown, another man who's got 1 cap for Scotland, has come on. This is the skipper, Ruddy Grant. Latui with a pick up and drive into Callum Black and Sean Doyle. That's good work by Black yet again. He's been terrific at that. Leonard.
Black forwards, wait.
Well positioned by Ricky Andrew. Andrew Trimble outside him. Ricky Andrew still going. Now he gets it to Trimble. Well away by Paul Marshall. Into a bit of space. by Robbie Dyack, Ulster's captain. I don't know that Lewis Stevens is going to give Mr. Usain Bolt any sleepless nights, but he closed the ground down with that big long opening stride, and he's given Ulster the line out.
There was no way out for Edinburgh there. Sensible play by Dyack. He's looked up and saw that it's Lewis Stevenson outside him. He's not the quickest man in two legs. Nice flat defence with space in behind, and he's used it well, but hasn't Ricky Andrew done well there? Unlucky in terms of Trimble coming in. He's actually tripped over the man, but Trimble's able to get the ball away to Paul Marshall quickly, and they've linked up. And that's a nice play by Dyack. Sensible, good footballing thought in terms of what he's trying to do.
Well, I'm sure Tom Brown is glad that he didn't have eyes in the back of his head, because if he had, he would have seen about 6'7" and 19 stones of Lewis Stevenson coming down. Wilson on the narrow side into Rob Herring. Cleverly worked line out by Ulster, but can they apply the coup de grace? Marshall wants a runner, gets it from Sean Doyle, who was the man of the match a week ago when the Ulster Ravens beat the Connacht Eagles. Tui, well tackled again, and again he's presented the ball nicely. Marshall, Stevenson, good ground made. Marshall looking to the narrow side again. Black, lovely pass, Roger Wilson. Good tackle by Vickers Blau. Still Ulster. Here's the captain, Robbie Dyack.
Hands out, good.
Bit more width on it this time. Luke Marshall. Great strength, and he's got it away. Well taken by Cave. Lovely pass. Craig Gilroy. Oh, what a score! Well, that's as good a team effort, Tony, as I've seen all season from Ulster.
Beautifully put together, great composure, happy to come in and go back and probe the blind side, doubling up in terms of tagging onto the ball carrier, eventually able to create some quick ball for Paul Marshall. Good awareness of the space out wide, and doesn't Gilroy take those well? Poacher extraordinaire.
Well, some of the big men were well involved in that. Lewis Stevenson took it up. This was a sublime pass by Darren Cave, and Gilroy, well, posted some serious intent that he's back. May not, in fact, won't make the autumn internationals, but Six Nations, here we come yet again, I think.
He uses that ability to spin out at the tackle so well, and very, very difficult for defenders. You think you have him, and then just that whipping ability of the body to pull himself away, and on that occasion he's able to cross the line.
14th league try for Craig Gilroy. Ulster in the lead for the first time. Can James McKinney extend it? Oh, he's clipped that beautifully. And another cracking little kick by James McKinney. There's hardly any backlift at all. There's hardly any run-up, but it's all about the technique.
Absolutely, and he's just got his distance as well. He's just dropping it over the crossbar and no more. Two good strikes from James McKinney, and certainly he looks again as if he's coming onto his game. He's starting to get into the pace of it. Communication looks better. He's just looking for some more quick ball from the forwards.
Wonderful pass by Darren Cave. Well, there's a greater buzz around Ravenhill now, not surprisingly. Leonard gets it away. Cave. Oh, he's given that such a belt, hasn't he? Well, he's been a very consistent player, Darren Cave, for Ulster now, 26 years of age. There's the people that matter. Chief Executive Shane Logan, Alan Clark, Neil Doak, Mark Anscombe, Johnny Bell, Niall Malone, Tony McWhirter and his grandfather sitting beside him. Didn't look altogether straight, but it was well taken in by Ollie Atkins. Left the Waratahs to come at Alan Solomon's request and join Edinburgh. Hidalgo Klein. Well taken by Trimble. A wee bit of a fumble, but the readjustment was perfectly legal. Marshall, Black to his front row colleague Rob Herring. Quicker ball, McKinney.
6 hold. Okay.
Now that is a tantalising nudge by McKinney.
Backwards.
It's worked out nicely.
Yes, advantage Black.
I think Ulster may have nudged it forward. I think the touch judge on this side has just maybe indicated to the referee there was a little forward nudge there by Ulster, and it'll be an Edinburgh put into the scrum. but 10-5 for Ulster is a lot more pleasing to the home eye than 5-0 down.
Yeah, it is. We're just starting to get a grip in this. Great take from Andrew Trimble from the box kick. Again, getting himself into the air. Ball comes out, and fantastic kick from McKinney. Darren Cave slightly unlucky here. He's just about to pick it up, and Benatiga just puts the foot between his legs and knocks it out. Here's Trimble in the air again, getting airborne so he can't be played by the defender. Buys himself the half second to take the rebound, and then sets the ball up beautifully.
And another man who was deemed surplus to requirement by the Irish management for the autumn internationals. Ollie Atkins getting a little bit of treatment.
Time on. Scrum what? Scrum black. Right, and you come.
Into the final 10 minutes of this first half.
There you go.
Not sure it's a night for cold beer. Nice warm cup of coffee, maybe with something nippy in it, perhaps. That line is the Edinburgh 10-metre line. The clock will resume with 9 minutes of this first half to go. Sam Hidalgo Klein, born in Granada in Spain, incidentally. Harry Leonard on the near side, born in Brighton. And he's judged those kicks well, and what a great take by Ricky Andrew, and away he goes. And gets it to McKinney. Roger Wilson.
Yep. Lost forward.
And Ulster managed to spill that forward. Back come Edinburgh.
Advantage over, you lost it forward.
Craig Gilroy decides to kick. No real pressure there. And Edinburgh find the touch, but it's going to be an Ulster line-out. Things just maybe starting to roll Ulster's way.
Yeah, you feel as if the worm was turned in a way again. Great play by Ricky Andrew, getting in the air again, Jim, buying himself some time in the offload. McKinney cuts in, doesn't want to take contact, which is great. Offloads to Roger. Roger goes to ground, and the ball just squirts out the side here as he tries to push it back. And that's the sort of thing that'll have a coach tearing his hair out, really.
Great take by Dyack. Marshall. McKinney. Luke Marshall. That was as flat as could be. Cave. Oh, beautiful by Cave. Here he goes. And he's got it away. Little nudge and the dive and the try, surely. He's going to have a look upstairs, but I have a feeling that Paul Marshall grounded that, but was the pass forward?
Is it a try, yes or no?
Okay. I think he's just looking at the grounding, and certainly from Paul Marshall's point of view, beautiful footballing skills, a la Simon Zebo in the green shirt last year. But didn't Darren Cave do well? Always looks deceptively if he doesn't have the pace, but yet manages to just keep the yard of distance between himself. Took a good option in coming inside, realising that the Edinburgh defence were cutting down the options out wide. And Marshall does brilliantly. That's exceptional awareness of where the ball is. And the grounding's good for me.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And it all came from a pretty good set piece as well. There's the finish, and I'm pretty sure that's the try.
The man on the side is here, so it's on you, mate.
Peter Ferguson.
Hi, Neil, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You may award the try, please.
May award the try, thank you.
Ulster's second try in this first half, and all of a sudden the gap is 10 points with the conversion to come. And Paul Marshall, league try number 8 for the diminutive scrum half, and his half-back partner James McKinney adds the points. And having been 5-0 down and looking average, Ulster have suddenly found their rhythm and found their gear and found their will.
Yeah, they certainly have. Good line-out ball initially from Robbie Dyack, a simple 10-12 with Marshall cutting a great line, but here's Cave again, keeping the ball alive, and that's so important. Doesn't die with it. Marshall has the pace and the awareness to get the proper trail line. Even though the pass maybe wasn't a great one, he's able to play it in the footballing style and score.
Leonard puts that long, and once again it's taken by Darren Cave. Didn't find his touch. Greg Tonks.
Away, Black!
It's a bit of a slice, but it mightn't work out too badly for Edinburgh. Wonderful by Andrew. Marshall, McKinney. Dam Tui. Nicely away. Paul Marshall. McKinney again. Craig Gilroy. Might have come off an Edinburgh player. Craig Gilroy certainly is pointing it out, and the crowd not happy at all. Paul Marshall's not happy, but I'd like to have another little look at that.
I'll always give the middle.
Did that come off an Edinburgh player, Tony? What do you think?
I'm not exactly sure. We'll see it from the replay, but Dan Toohey is certainly out to prove a point this evening. Again, good bump on offload. Gilroy decides there's nothing on and kicks. Yeah, definitely came off Edinburgh. There's no doubt about that.
Well, the boos, like them or not, were probably justified there. However, Edinburgh have won the line-out ball. 5 minutes remaining. Ulster 17-5 up. Toohey really grappling away here. Hasn't played for a long time, like so many of the players. Hidalgo Klein. Terrific again by Gilroy. Here's Toohey. Well released by the big fella, James McKinney. He put the right amount of weight on that, I think he has, you know, but well taken in by Edinburgh. Jack Cuthbert's back on the field.
Lost your feet.
A lot of kicking from the Edinburgh halfbacks. Ooh. Well, they've left that to Gilroy.
Tackle release.
Well, not great communication there between Ulster, but they still have it, and there's an extra man or two if they can shift this. In comes Trimble, that looked forward. Trimble desperate to get into the action, isn't he?
Yeah, the space is just starting to appear. Edinburgh have done a lot of defending in this last 10 or 15 minutes. And Darren Cave's just starting to find a little bit of space. The offloads are going to hand now. But again, it's Dan Toohey that's setting the focal point for this. He really does look energetic. He wants to carry ball. He wants to make an impression. He wants to put his hand up, and he's really doing it in style.
It's a fair contest.
Well, a lot of these Ulster players haven't really featured at all for Ireland in this autumn international. Andrew Trimble with 50 Irish caps and 2 World Cups, but he still wants more. A lot of people who achieve anything close to that would have been sitting at home with their feet up.
Bind! Set! Yes, no!
Oh, what a good Ulster scrum yet again. Edinburgh in all sorts of trouble, but they've got it away. Here's Harry Leonard looking for Atiga, who is very strong.
Tackle move!
Got past the first line of defence. And Ulster have stolen it. Referee says the turnover was fine. Edinburgh penalised. Marshall thought about a quick one, and Robbie Dyack, the skipper, is just saying wait.
Yeah, good play by Sean Doyle, getting there, staying on his feet. You see him just, it's Robbie Dyack actually. Great play by Robbie.
Strong man. McKinney's tended to miscue a little bit from his kicking from hand, but it's still going to be an Ulster line-out. There's still time.
Take a look for you.
I think the important bit from McKinney's point is he hasn't missed any. Maybe not hasn't cranked it out distance-wise, but every time he's had the ball, he's made his touch, he's given his forwards a target, and that's very important.
Herring. But slappy. Well taken by Paul Marshall. Now that's actually quite a clever kick. That's come in field. Taken by Cuthbert, who's had a stitch or two in his eye. He's a big, strong fellow. But like his namesake, the Welsh Lions winger, Alex Cuthbert. Ulster scrum. Any turnovers is that they've won?
2 minutes.
It's certainly quite a few.
Your nine needs to
referee's
understand.
quite quick in blowing that up as well. You know, as soon as it gets to the ground, he's giving very little time for the ball to reappear. If there's any semblance of the ball being in the air, he's calling a turnover straight away. Lewis Stevenson with the grappling that time.
Yeah, that was a good piece of play by Lewis Stevenson. And guess who's in there as well? Callum Black. Busy little boy he's been.
Yes, please, 9. Crouch!
Just over a minute remaining. Ulster having been 5-0 down, now lead by 17 points to 5, and they've got 2 tries in the bag, one by Craig Gilroy and the second from Paul Marshall. Darren Cave instrumental in both of those tries.
I just need the props to oblige me as well, yeah? Thanks, gentlemen.
Well, there's that new stand, and I'm reliably informed that every single piece of steel that's going to go into it has gone into it. Now it's all about concreting and getting the cosmetics right. And Ravenhill will be completely and utterly transformed, an 18,000 plus stadium.
Set, hold, yes, no.
Solid Ulster scrum on their own put in. Wilson controls, leaves it for Marshall. Now McKinney misses out Luke Marshall. Here comes Cave, the man of the moment. Here's Trimble, now to Gilroy, and they just couldn't quite keep control of it.
No option, just a knock on, yeah.
Nudge forward. It's going to be an Edinburgh scrummage now. Can also put a bit of a squeeze on here and disrupt. The referee has said there is time, but not by very much, and it's an Ulster knock on. Trimble, well, they ran out of room a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. It was maybe calling for the scissor back inside, and then obviously once it's going to ground, they tried to get the top away, but it's right on the touchline. Difficult for support to get there quickly.
TMO Peter Ferguson has told the referee Neil Hennessy that that's time up as far as he's concerned. So once the ball goes dead, it will be half time. And having started poorly, a poorish opening quarter, Ulster's second quarter has been very good indeed.
Yes, been good.
And that's despite losing 2 players to injury.
Bind, set.
Is there one big squeeze from Ulster in this half? What a drive, and they get the penalty. Well, there's no time, I think, for anything else, Tony. So if James McKinney might have a goal, I would think. But what a scrum by Ulster.
Yeah, once again, it's Callum Black who's getting the pat in the back. Huge effort there. You can see him putting the pressure on WP Nell, and Nell's happy just to turn his outside shoulder and go to ground.
And what a forward did too was he actually locked it out. Instead of allowing it to drift around, he came in and kept it as straight as possible, so Ulster weren't penalised. But what a very good scrum to finish this half. And John Afoe, nice to see him getting back to something resembling full fitness again.
Yeah, we spoke about just a bit more honesty at the breakdown, and it's been pretty good, you know. Hopefully we haven't missed the clear.
Well, James McKinney has nailed everything so far. His dad John was a dashing wing 3/4 many years ago for CIYMS, and of course was the master in charge of rugby at Campbell College for so many years. Little stabbing kick, and it's another successful strike by James McKinney, and what a finish to the first half. And Robbie Dyack gives him a congratulatory pat, as you'd expect. Great to see Craig Gilroy back in action. Got Ulster's first try, set up nicely by a wonderful floating pass by Darren Cave, and then a fine piece of skills by Paul Marshall following a Darren Cave break. Gave Ulster the lead, and James McKinney has extended that lead. So having been 5 points to 0 down after 15 minutes, courtesy of a try by Cornell Dupree for the visitors, Ulster have bounced straight back and are looking pretty comfortable. Half time here, cold but very happy Ravenhill. It's Ulster 20 and Edinburgh 5.
Well, first night for Robbie Dyack as the Ulster captain, and it took his side a while to get going, as it was the visitors who impressed early on and took a deserved lead. An impeccable display of goal kicking, though, by the Ulster number 10, James McKinney, kept that scoreboard ticking over, and then Craig Gilroy twisted and turned on his return with a try. An even better skill from Paul Marshall. 2 tries to 1 for Ulster. 4 out of 4 for James McKinney, and the home side leads by 20 points to 5. Well, Andy Nicol and Brent Cunningham have been enjoying what has been a not perfect but an entertaining first half, and gentlemen, a deserved lead for Ulster.
Yeah, I mean, it feels more than 2 tries to 1, doesn't it? I think ultimately very dominant in the latter part of that first half. Edinburgh battled away to start with, but I just think you've seen the gulf in class between the two sides there as the half developed.
Certainly Edinburgh got off to a pretty good start though, Brent.
Yeah, it was an excellent start, and as Andy said, Ulster were a little bit slow out of the blocks. Edinburgh looked quite comfortable, to be honest, in their early touches, and we talked at the beginning of the programme about their back row, a couple of players there who are useful ball carriers, and Cornell Dupree showed that early on, that he's a very, very strong ball carrier. A couple of boys will be slightly disappointed with the defence. It was slightly soft and things looked a little bit ominous for Ulster to start, but certainly they started getting together and they dominated thereafter.
Yeah, disappointing defence for that first Edinburgh try, though. Ulster will be disappointed with that. Andy.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Hill-Dalglish at scrum half, I thought he's battled away pretty well because he's been under a lot of pressure. But you see the scrum is under severe pressure. Ulster have got in the front foot, but it comes out and Hill-Dalglish does well. He keeps the ball alive, and that's a poor defence by Michael Allen. And then I think Gilroy's got to sell himself.
He's
got
just
to come
hesitated,
forward.
didn't he?
Yeah, as soon as you get into that position, you see it here. Allen doesn't do well. He tries to muscle him, but you can't when you're playing against the number. Gilroy's got to go forward now and really just sell himself, because as soon as you get into that position when he eventually made the tackle, the weight difference, Brendan, was always going to come out in favour of Dupree.
And I think, to be honest, Michael Allen particularly there will be very disappointed, because all season that's actually been his strength. He's very, very physical. He actually enjoys hitting the big boys as well. He stripped them a couple of times, and maybe that was in his head, that rather than just going for a traditional tackle, like Andy said, get in there rather than trying to get your hand on the ball, and that's maybe what he's tried to do, and Dupree's done well just to evade it.
First game for Craig Gilroy since the start of October, and he took his try supremely well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mean, he's a quality player, and he's got good players inside him. They got the setup very well. They were battling away. This was after a lot of phases, and to be fair, Edinburgh's defence had held pretty firm, but I thought they just missed it there because it wasn't a great pass, but that was a very good pass, and then Gilroy managed to get round the outside and scored well.
I mean, there are two great bits of play there by Darren Cave. What you see here is McKinney's obviously committed to the ruck there. Cave's calling for the ball nice and early. He's picked that up well, and he's just held at that fraction, and that fraction just made the defence has had to hold and just stay in the inside. And Gilroy, well, he's renowned for his little hit and spin, and that just puts Tonks off slightly and allows him the momentum to get in.
But Darren Cave, his return from the international setup has been key for Ulster tonight, because he has been quite dominant, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, and it's just the little things. It's not, he's not been spectacular, but his decision making's been good, as we saw there. A lot of people think that decision making is when to pass, when to kick, but it's what type of pass to put in, and that was exactly the right pass that was required to allow that try to be scored.
And a great break, of course, for the Paul Marshall try by Darren Cave.
Yeah, no, it's an outstanding piece of play, and Ulster have shown that actually. After the first 10 or 15 minutes, they've started to make an awful lot of line breaks. They're starting to find holes. Marshall initially does well. He hits that line very, very well on the inside shoulder, but this is a nice bit of play here. Just shows the ball, always holding with two hands, lovely step. And then this, particularly from Paul Marshall, he knows if he stretches for that, he's potentially going to knock it on. Lovely bit of footballing skill from Marshall.
Again, it's good decision making by Marshall, because a lot of players here would have stretched for that, and that would have been maybe 5-6 times out of 10 you might knock that on. As it did, he made the right call, and it was a good score, great score.
Now, Edinburgh got their score off a scrummage, but Ulster have been quite dominant in that area, haven't they?
They absolutely have, and they've got stronger and stronger as the half developed. And Edinburgh did score off a scrum that didn't go their way, but we can see here it's just there's a real power coming through from the front row there, and there's no doubt that Callum Black is having a real go at WP Nell.
I think, to be honest, we knew right from the outset Edinburgh may have a problem there, because the writing was on the wall. Within 5 minutes of the game, they had a free kick 5 yards out from Ulster's line, and instead of electing for a scrum, they tapped and went and turned the ball over. And that shows a serious lack of confidence in your scrum. Ulster would have picked that up, they would have realised that and said, we've got the beating of them there.
We know just how good John Afoa is, but Callum Black as well has had a fine first half.
Absolutely.
In the loose as well.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, a lot comes from a lot of time the loose head was putting a lot of pressure on there, and that's doing really well. You saw that was the last scrum of the half. It was right down in front of us here, and I said to Bryn, Edinburgh have got to get this ball in and out, or it could be a penalty, and it exactly was, because I think we'll see in the second half that pressure just kept building all the time, and if you don't have a platform, you can't play. And Edinburgh have had to play off scraps for the last 20 minutes of that first half.
What have you made of the performances of the two 10s this evening?
Well, there's no doubt McKinney is coming out top, primarily because he's got a platform to play from. Because from a scorer's perspective, Harry Leonard is a young player that we've got high hopes for, because it's been such a problem position, Stephen, for Scotland for a number of years. Scotland haven't really had a standoff since Gregor Townsend retired 10 years ago. And Harry Leonard, you see there's a bit of an experience coming back into traffic, and that will only come from, as I say, from experience. But McKinney, I've been really impressed with. He's kicked both from hand and from the ground very, very well.
I think McKinney's done exceptionally well. He's answered some of his critics. He hasn't had very many opportunities behind, obviously, Paddy Jackson, who's been in outstanding form for the last couple of months, but he's done everything very well. He's kicked well, he's given his chasers an opportunity to contest the ball. I've also liked that he's taken the ball to the line as well, so he's feeding Marshall, he's putting the spot balls in, he's holding the defence, and his place kicking, as we can see, has been absolutely outstanding.
I mean, that's the thing, we said it's 2 tries to 1, but the difference has been McKinney's goal kicking. And the thing, what for me I like about a standoff is when they look comfortable with the ball in hand, and he looks really comfortable when he's got the ball in hand.
Okay, thank you, Andy Bryn, for the moment. Time now to introduce you to a remarkable young man. In February this year, 19-year-old David Ross from Moira suffered serious injuries playing rugby, injuries which unfortunately left him paralysed from the neck down. Now, since his release from hospital this summer, David has been using the sport he loves, to help his recovery. And this week, 2 of the Ulster players paid him a visit, and they took a session in the Ulster Barbarians wheelchair rugby team.
It's a great game, and I really do enjoy it. I love the contact when I played rugby, so I love the contact when I'm playing wheelchair rugby. It's high intensity, it's physical, it just gets you pumped. I just enjoy myself when I'm playing, and just push myself as hard as I can. And you know, I always liked, you know, being in the sport. Whenever I played rugby at school, I was in thirds, and then I wanted to make the seconds, then I wanted to make the firsts. So I always want to get to that next step. Ever since the accident, I was thinking about sports straight away. I was like, even when I was in intensive care, I thought, you know, you need to be able to play in sport again. I initially thought I was going to get better. I was trying to think of non-contact sports like tennis to play, but then as things moved on, like over to Musgrave Park, there was a few demo days and we got to try a few different sports, and straight away I thought I had to get involved in this. So I was out of rehab about a week and a half and I was already training for wheelchair rugby.
He doesn't blame rugby in any way for his injury. He's very positive about rugby. He went to see Ulster play even when he was in hospital. They let him out for a night and he went off to Ravenhill. It's really come on, it's really helped his recovery, it's helped his upper body strength and his fitness, and it's really given him, a very positive attitude to his recovery. You know, it gets a bit hectic and a bit brutal at times, and some of the challenges and hits are just as hard as I think you see in a rugby pitch.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. You know, brain works a bit differently when you try and think left and right and turning wheels, but it's good fun, it's a good workout. Big collisions for us outside backs, we're not used to this sort of thing, so big Neil's enjoying it, but nah, you're right, there's some big hits out there.
Just shows you how dangerous the game is that we play, and unfortunately he's one of the unlucky ones, but you know, he's an inspiration if you look at him, because he was just saying he was a week and a half out of hospital and he started training for this, and I think it's great that something like this is available to the guys with that kind of disability.
The guys did very well. It's just to be able to coordinate yourself in a chair. I mean, it's completely different to what you'd imagine it's like. There's kind of 2 choices. It was sit there and move about, or just get up and get on with things. So I'm just doing what I think anyone should do in this situation. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I thought it was at one point, but it's really not.
The Ulster players certainly enjoyed that. I can tell you, Neil McComb's hands today covered in blisters after that, but an inspirational young fella, Andy.
Oh, absolutely. He's just the way that he's approached what happened to him. He's done it in a real positive way. You know, just absolutely inspiration. You know, it puts everything in perspective when we were, looking at a game here. But the way that he's approached that, fantastic.
What do Ulster need to do second half, Bryn, to close this game out? They do look fairly comfortable, it has to be said, at the moment.
We talked about it just before half time, and I don't think they have to do anything particularly different. I think they have to just continue in the same vein. They're dominating the set piece, particularly the scrum. There's individual class there in the backs. It's just a little bit too much for Edinburgh to handle. I think Edinburgh will probably tire a little bit as well later on, so I can't see a great deal changing, and I see a fairly strong scoreline in Ulster's favour.
Bonus point territory for Ulster, surely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think if Ulster don't get a bonus point, it'll be very disappointing. For Edinburgh there, I think Alan Solomons will be saying, look, you've got to get the ball, you've got to keep the ball, and just try and do a bit more with it. It was a good first 15 minutes, but rugby matches are 80 minutes, and they've got to up it in the second half if they're going to be even remotely close here this afternoon.
And I suppose on a disappointing note, Bryn, Henderson and Allen both off with injuries, adding to this lengthening injury list for Ulster.
Yeah, it's hard to see how serious either were. Probably particularly disappointing for Henderson, who's just come back from an injury, to have to go straight back off the pitch again in his first game. So I'm sure the medical staff will view that, and on Monday or Tuesday we'll find out the full extent of both injuries.
OK, Bryn, Andy, thank you very much indeed. Time for the second half. Ulster are on their way. It's back to Tony and Jim.
Well, we had a very entertaining interlude at half-time. The under-18 girls of Armagh played their Bangor counterpoints, and at under-15 level, the girls of Enniskillen played Virginia. There's Dan Toohey, who came on early for Henderson, and a little glance down onto the pitch tells me that Edinburgh have made a replacement, because one of their most experienced players in the squad, Ross Rennie, has come on to play in the back row.
Lovely, yes. Peter?
I'm here.
Thank you.
Andrew Trimble in his favoured position of right wing. So James McKinney, who's kicked 4 out of 4.
Time on
for Ulster to get this second half underway. Ulster leading by 20 points to 5 and by 2 tries to 0. Decent little bit of ground made initially by Edinburgh. Hidalgo Klein from outside his 22. Harry Leonard hasn't found his touch. Well taken again by Ricky Andrew. He has been very lively with ball in hand. Marshall working that narrow side. Robbie Dyack, Ulster's captain for the evening. Paul Marshall, Lewis Stevenson, Latouille up very quickly. And the try score for Edinburgh, Cornell Dupree, but Ulster have won it. Here goes McKinney. Here's Trimble. Darren Cave. Clever little show. Luke Marshall. Inside to Andrew. Well away. John Afoa. Nice sidestep by the All Black, Craig Gilroy. Lively start to the second half, and popped into touch, and Craig Gilroy leapt up in the air. I thought for a moment he'd done something, but it was just frustration. And there is Ross Rennie.
Ulster, the line is yours.
Lovely start by Ulster. Good composure, ball in hand. I think Bryn and Andy are right in terms of what they said at half-time. Ulster, realistically could be their only opponent in this second half in some regards, if they show too much complacency. But that's a very positive start to see, and one that the crowd will look to see them continue.
Ball back on the Edinburgh side, and Hidalgo Klein gets it away very well indeed. It's bounced handy enough for Ulster. Ricky Andrew.
Away right!
So a bit of a gap there, but it's well closed down by Sam Hidalgo Klein. Greg Tonks.
Come on, Blacks. Stand still, 20.
Dyack waits. Fine bounce for Ulster's captain. He's seen a bit of a gap, but that's quickly filled by the enormous Jack Cuthbert, who's got by the man who kicked the ball. Good work by Robbie Dyack, chased his own kick. Atiga. Vickers Blau got it away for the visitors. Good rucking by the Edinburgh side. Gilroy. James McKinney taken back inside, so he can't kick directly into touch. Tonks had a wee glance outside him to see if there was anybody in support, and there wasn't. Was there a bit of obstruction there by Ross Rennie? Referee happy enough that there wasn't. Hidalgo Klein. Latouille. Good tackle by Ulster. Roddy Grant is still there.
He's the tackler.
One by Ulster. Trimble switches direction. Marshall saw a huge gap. Here comes Darren Cave and Paul Marshall. Harry Leonard has to go back. Nabbed by Cave. Still going. Ball has gone loose.
Push back, White.
Edinburgh in a wee bit of trouble here, but they've secured the possession, and that's well away by their scrum half, but only as far as Ricky Andrew. Trimble, plenty of men outside him. Gets it off to Gilroy. This could be interesting. Good pass. Wilson away. James McKinney. Thumping tackle by Tonks.
Hands away.
Ulster only 15 metres from the Edinburgh line, looking for try number 3. Paul Marshall. McKinney. Callum Black. Outstanding in the tight and pretty tasty in the loose. Latui was the tackler. Paul Marshall. James McKinney, nice flat pass. Here goes Tui. Still there for Ulster. Dyack.
Hands out, Black, off your
Good
feet.
presentation by Ulster's captain. McKinney. Andrew. Luke Marshall. And Cave outside him. Here goes a Foa. And they've hustled the mighty All Black into touch, but a good passage of play by Ulster.
Great passage of play, started by John O'Foa in terms of realising that the turnover was on, making the tackle, getting quickly back on his feet and then whipping the ball away. And then we see him just shepherded into touch here at the end. But again, good composure by Ulster, happy to go through the phases. Nicely played by Paul Marshall in terms of working out where the support players are, where the forwards are, working the opening.
Well, it's going to be an Edinburgh line-out, but they're under a little bit of pressure. Good to see John O'Foa scampering around the field. Latui. Well taken in by Isaac van der Vesthuizen.
Okay.
One of 4 South Africans in the starting Edinburgh pack. And that's a good drive by Edinburgh. Ulster have held them up, but they can't quite get them into touch. Hidalgo Klein kicks. Trimble. Ricky Andrew. Gilroy. Got Cave outside him. This is Cave. Oh, good run by Cave. Well, Cave has played splendidly. Luke Marshall gets it back inside and well intercepted by Edinburgh. This could still go anywhere. Roddy Grant takes it forward. Good work by the Edinburgh captain. Referee has decided that advantage is over. Leonard. Good work by W.P. Nell. Hidalgo Klein. Leonard. Ollie Atkins, the big Australian.
Wait.
Tonks. Ross Rennie.
Didn't have it.
Still there by Edinburgh. Better stuff now by the visitors in terms of continuity.
Ruck formed.
Referee's called for the ruck, or the ruck has been formed. Latui gets into the Ulster half, not by very much. Good grafting by Rob Herring.
Side entry right here, 3. Side entry 3, yes.
John O'Foa penalised for coming in at the side. Livelier stuff from the visitors. Lewis Stevenson in a bit of trouble.
Also just need to be a little bit careful. It looks well and it's lovely to see them moving the ball around from side to side, but whenever it breaks down, we certainly don't have the support there. And that turnover ball that Edinburgh have been able to make, suddenly it's on quickly downfield as well.
Well, Edinburgh have gone for the penalty to touch, and Sparky seems to be in good form. He's probably the warmest creature in Ravenhill this evening, I would have to say. Bit of a spring in his step. Still raises a wonderful amount of money for all sorts of charities. But I'm much more concerned at the moment about Lewis Stevenson, who's down in the middle of the park. And remember, Ian Henderson has gone off. Johan Muller, the Ulster captain, is not too far from us. He's still a week or two away from coming back. And Ulster may well, if Lewis Stevenson goes off, and he is going off, and that's very sad. And that would probably mean that Mike McComish will come on, and Robbie Dyack will have to play in the second row while he's hobbling. So let's hope it's not too serious. Away we go again. Here come Edinburgh. Ulster down to 14 men at the moment. They haven't got the replacement on. Dupree, the try scorer. Hidalgo Klein, Harry Leonard looking for Tonks, missing out. Dougie Fife, incidentally the only member of the Edinburgh side actually born in Scotland. Nell takes it forward. This is good pressure now. Latui. Great work by Dan Tui in defence. Harry Leonard. Back inside to Atiga. Taken down 2 metres short. Harry Leonard again. Good covering by Luke Marshall. And Edinburgh give away the penalty, and that is terrific Ulster defence.
That's great scramble defence from the backs, in, back out, realign, stepping forward, good line speed.
Okay, so
Luke Marshall's done very well there in the jackal position, as it's known, over the top of the ball and holding on for grim death.
You said something I've not heard you until now.
Well, that was really good work, and what a thumping tackle that was by Luke Marshall, and he took his weight on his feet, and he was able to compete at the breakdown, which forced Edinburgh to commit the infringement.
Say again?
So Mike McComish is on. Wasn't initially on the bench. Nick Williams was due to start. He's got a bit of a calf strain. Roger Wilson then did start, and McComish was drafted onto the bench. And here he is
on the 5
for his second successive game off the bench.
Yes, time is on. Gents, give him the kick.
McKinney makes a decent bit of ground, not the longest kick in the world, but it's going to be an Ulster line out. Nearly 9 minutes of the second half play. The scoreboard hasn't been troubled, but Ulster still leading by 20 points to 5. They'll probably settle if it stayed like that, but I think they'd like a bit more, and they certainly don't want to let Edinburgh back into this, Tony.
No, dead right. I think Ulster obviously looking for the bonus point in terms of 4 tries, but it's important to keep Edinburgh out here. They've looked quite ominous in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Good attacking play.
Well, that was a bad mistake by Ulster at their own line-out. Here's Latui, who tidied the ball up initially. McCormick's told to get out of it. He doesn't want to be giving away any penalties at this stage. Edinburgh still rumbling forward pretty ominously. Harry Leonard inside to the strong Atiga, who's made ground. Hidalgo Klein, WP Nell. Great tackle by Roger Wilson for Ulster. Hidalgo Klein again. Gap was closed in his face. Good defence by Ulster. And again, Edinburgh forced into conceding the penalty, coming in at the side. And again, Ulster's defence just hanging on.
Hanging on. The referee's been very consistent with the side entry, and that's all you ask for in terms of decision making from him. The players know exactly where they stand. Ulster have a chance to clear their lines once again.
And a pretty packed Ravenhill, probably something in the region of about 13,000 here for this game. And as we mentioned earlier, by the end of the season, Ravenhill will be all singing, all dancing, and capable of hosting about 18,000 plus.
Numbers white, 5
and that's there is something for them to host. Better line out, well taken by Robbie Dyack, who'll be pressed into service in the scrums as a second row forward. Away goes Marshall. Marshall's still going. Nearly ran away from all the support, and Ulster's turn to give away the penalty. And they really didn't need to do that. They were going forward and had the quick ball, but one, Tony. The Edinburgh line was there for the crossing.
Yeah, I suppose the argument maybe could have been that Paul Marshall should have and possibly could have linked up earlier. Looking for the pass, as you see, decides to pin his ears back, but again, it's just that all-important support getting there. And I think it's Roger who goes in off his feet, and it's pretty clear-cut. The referee's been really hot on that all night.
Flags up, gents.
Well, good to see Paul Marshall just pinning back his ears.
I believe you.
Dyack flipped the ball back, but it was from the Edinburgh penalty, so Edinburgh have got the line out. And they're back on Ulster's 22. Latui. Dupree went in to do a bit of support play, and Edinburgh have got a lot of forwards in behind the ball carrier.
Going sideways. It's over the 5.
Ulster just digging in, but Edinburgh threatening to regroup. Ulster splintering a bit. They've got to get back round again. Well, the crowd in full voice.
Wait.
Good work by McComish at the breakdown. Roddy Grant. What a tackle. Still there. Edinburgh close to the Ulster 22. Now they move it. Leonard. That Ulster white line is holding firm. Latui has done his best to break it, and he has broken it. And he's got away from Wilson. And well stolen by Ulster. How did they manage that? I think it was Luke Marshall was in the middle of all of that.
Push back 3.
Paul Marshall looking for somebody to take it on. Cave
stand 7, stand.
in the outside half position. Not a bad kick. That was Greg Tonks who covered well. He's got Cuthbert outside him. Kenny slows him down.
He's off his feet. Right there, push back.
Tonks has to try to set the ball up. Ross Rennie. Wonderful tackle by Dan Tui. Hidalgo Klein. Roddy Grant. Edinburgh probing, and McComish has to get out of the way. And once again, Edinburgh give away the penalty in the breakdown. Bad discipline from them.
Yeah, they're just getting caught out here. I think the referee's about to lose patience as well, but the Ulster defence is very good. But on top of that, I think in some ways Edinburgh, Jim, are quite easy to read. They're going the same direction all the time from side to side.
You've got to come in through the gate. Thank you.
Well, he's given Roddy Grant a fair old dressing down. I think the culprit might have been either Grant himself or Aleki Lutui, the veteran tongue and hooker.
Absolutely fine, yeah.
McKinney. That's one of his better kicks to touch.
Just wait to see if the ball emerges and you can go, yeah?
But you couldn't fault James McKinney, certainly in terms of his goal kicking. He hasn't played a bad game at all this evening, and it's his first start, certainly this season.
No, certainly on the big stage as well. And no, he's played very well. Looks very accomplished. And I'm sure the Ulster management will be glad to see that they have another option up their string, up their sleeve, even so.
Paul Marshall. This is McKinney, and this is Wilson. Hurtled across that gain line. Quicker ball now by Ulster. Marshall. Ricky Andrew, who's been very lively. Edinburgh have stopped them and they've held them up, and Ulster will have to try to get that ball to deck if they possibly can, or else keep churning forward. And Edinburgh pulled it in. Good defence by Edinburgh.
Yeah, Cornell Dupree with the tackle. Ulster almost getting caught out there, running back into the slower Edinburgh forwards who haven't quite managed to make it to the ruck or to the far side as the defence would normally set.
Edinburgh scrum. 14 minutes, almost 15 minutes played in the second half.
Okay, man down is in the way.
Ulster conceded the opening try after 15 minutes, a breakaway down the touchline by the Edinburgh number 8 Cornell Dupree, but gradually by half-time Ulster had overhauled that lead and extended a fairly decent lead of their own thanks to tries by Gilroy and by Marshall, a couple of conversions and a couple of penalties by McKinney.
Kevin, your hands are the same colour as the straw.
Just a look at Ulster's 2 tries. Nobody there outside half, and look at this wonderfully floated pass by Darren Cave and finished off in style, and it was Cave again who brushed aside a couple of defenders. Nice little mazy run and wonderful control by Paul Marshall before the try.
Stay with me, Kev.
Good to see a packed house,
the gap that we had
as always here at Ravenhill.
Fantastic, thank you.
And of course with a handful of players on Scottish international duty this weekend, but then the same could be said for Ulster, who have got their injury problems as well.
Set. Okay, profiles, we've all gone down with shoulders.
Just ease that down a little bit up against Vickers Plough, a 27-year-old.
All the answers. Marcus here, gents.
A season with
please maintain the shoulders above
Biarritz, which will be an awful lot warmer, I suggest, than Ravenhill this evening.
It's a nice part of the world, isn't it?
Certainly is.
Crouch. Let's go. Sit. Bind. Set. Yes,
also with Robbie Dyack in the second row. That's a good squeeze by Ulster on the Edinburgh put in. They disrupted that scrum, but it's back to Tonks.
20 hold.
And he's given that a fair clip. Yep. Andrews. Craig Gilroy. Not a lot of room, but he's seen a big bit of space there. And that's going to be an Edinburgh lineup, but a clever kick by Craig Gilroy.
Yeah, nice bit of communication from Darren Cave, giving him the call, pointing, telling him it's on, and
Cave is certainly impressed, as is this fella, number 1, Ulster's loose head prop, Callum Black. Plenty of time there, and he saw that space, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but that was a good kick by Craig Gilroy. Edinburgh's line out though, which they have shortened. Ulster need a challenge, couldn't quite make it. Taken at the front.
Away 6!
That was Dupree, the Edinburgh try scorer. Hidalgo Klein, that's off an Ulster player, so nobody's offside.
Advantage knocked forward.
Knocked forward by Ulster. Referee's playing advantage. Atiga gets it away. A little missed pass, not a good pass at all. Andrew Trimble being very aggressive as always, and that's going to be an Ulster line out. Taken quickly by Luke Marshall.
Knock forward, no option.
So they're going to come back for the knock forward to Ulster. Coming up at the end of the the third quarter, and a scoreless quarter, it's been, and I suppose, Tony, the crowd would have expected Ulster to maybe kick on from that very, very good finish to the first half.
Yeah, potentially. Edinburgh forward starting to look slightly tired as well. They're walking from set piece to set piece now, taking as much of a breather as they can, and if Ulster can just increase the intensity, produce some quicker ball. Certainly Trimble, Cave and Gilroy look full of running out wide.
Yeah, also mind you, have had to make a number of changes which haven't helped.
Set! Hold! Yes, no.
Marshall just takes this time.
Okay. Whoa. It starts to drop. I can't help what happens after the S9 bit, right? It was stationary and good to go. Stand up. Keep it square.
Paul Marshall did absolutely the sensible thing by not putting the ball into a scrum that was heading toward the ground.
Second in. Second. Yeah. Crouch. Tight. Sit. Bind. Set. Hold. Steady.
Penalty against the Edinburgh front row. WP now taking it down against Callum Black. McKinney been instructed, I think, to put the ball into touch.
10.
And a decision which meets with the crowd's approval.
I can just about hear them mumbling, yeah?
Good to see James McKinney back playing rugby again.
Number 1, change.
Callum Black is going off, and on comes a man who's given, well, Ulster great service over the past half a dozen years or more. The formidable Tom Court comes on, now 33 years of age.
I didn't hear what he said before.
Off the London Irish at the end of this season, where he signed a 3-year deal. Good for him.
Fine. Time on, Peter.
Callum Black has only missed out on one matchday squad in the past season and a half. Good take by Tui. Edinburgh come barreling through, however. Ulster still have the ball in their possession. They're getting that secondary shove on. It's a wee bit far out, but if they maintain their composure, you never know. And look at a 4. Just keeping it nice and straight. Marshall. McKinney. The idea was there, and there's a penalty against Edinburgh.
Over here, boys.
And I think he's going to the pocket. And it may well be Isaac van der Westhuizen.
Yes. The captain's had a warning, team infringements. I'm on it.
So a deliberate infringement, a professional foul, call it what you will. And the signal indicates that it was for dragging that maul down, or attempting to drag it down. And that's not going to help Edinburgh. Isaac van der Westhuizen in the bin. Edinburgh down to 14 men. Ulster 15 points to the good.
And a man up at line-out time as well. And they'll really look to try and crank it up here now, if they can get a nice clean check from the line-out possession.
Rob Herring.
No, wait on the goal line.
Taken well by Tui. Crowd getting behind Ulster. They're only about a metre or so away. That's good Edinburgh defence. The secondary drive, and they're still held up. Wilson has his hands on that. Edinburgh have got to get out of the way. Paul Marshall. Luke Marshall. Well tackled by Edinburgh. Foe helps to clear. Paul Marshall. Dyack, the captain. He's got the 3rd try. What a moment for Robbie Dyack. Gets a try on the occasion of his first Ulster captaincy. And that, with a quarter of the game still to go, might just ensure an Ulster victory.
Yeah, beautifully worked from the forwards. The take by Tui, the control at the back from Wilson. Marshall then moves it to Luke Marshall again, hitting the gain line so flatly. Quick ball, but a beautiful pass by Marshall. Just draws the man in, creates half a yard. And Robbie Dyack coming round the corner, straightening just enough carry to get over. And he's deserved that. He's played well and led well.
Well, he's another man who's made a big impression since he came here as a raw 21-year-old, although he had played for the Stormers. And James McKinney lands yet another kick, and all of a sudden, having been 5-0 down, as we mentioned, Ulster now leading by 27 points to 5, and there are a raft of replacements coming on for Edinburgh. Alan Solomon's deciding to give his men a bit of a run. There's another replacement for Ulster. Niall Annette has come on for Rob Herring. Roger Wilson broke a little toe a few weeks ago, but he seems to be fine again. Paul Marshall, Edinburgh, very slow to get out of that. It's the first little box kick he's attempted, and it's not a bad one. Good chasing up there by Craig Gilroy. Dougie Fife has to set it up for Edinburgh. Hidalgo Klein, Harry Leonard, Latue, who's been busy.
No, it's fine.
So the replacement scrum half, incidentally, Grayson Hart.
Good, away.
Or Graydon Hart, I should say.
Roll right.
Good tackle by Mike McCormick. This is Hart, taken on by Ollie Atkins, gets across halfway.
Hands out,
Atiga in there to help. Hart again. Duprere gone loose. Andrew Trimble getting in the way of everything, really bustling and hustling. Good tackle by Niall Annette. Luke Marshall down injured, which is not so good.
Away right.
May just be a cramp. May not be a cramp. He's holding his knee rather awkwardly. Latue. Hart. Harry Leonard thought about the pass. Interception by Gilroy. It's a bonus point try for Ulster. Craig Gilroy gets his second. And that should really wrap it up. No wonder they delighted at Ravenhill. Well read by Gilroy. Great pressure by Ulster. Try number 4 on the second for Ulster in almost as many minutes.
We were sitting directly in line with that, and it looked telegraphed all the way. Gilroy saw it coming. And once he had got himself airborne and taken the ball, there was only one thing happening there, and that was try time. Both him and Andrew Trimble do that so well. Cutting in, playing that flat, fast up the fence, been able to pick off the intercept, and he saw that coming all day, didn't he?
Well, desperate times for Edinburgh. They felt as if they had to really go for that. Gilroy over without a glove being remotely laid on him, and I can tell you that James McKinney has added the conversion. So Ulster now have gone out to 34 points to 5. And that's try number 4, and that's the bonus point in the bag. And that certainly will do their table position no harm whatsoever. Luke Marshall, the only little blot on the landscape, he's hobbling a little bit, but he's gone off the field. And James McKinney's done well. And on the field is Peter Nelson, who's come on. So I have a feeling Andrew Trimble may well move into the centre. Wilson, the ever-present, the redoubtable Roger Wilson.
Push back, Black.
Marshall. Sean Doyle, starting his first game of the season. James McKinney, good pass. Ricky Andrew has a little cut. Oh, great stuff by Andrew. Lovely pass by Dyack. Here goes Tui. Marshall. Surely Edinburgh offside. McCormick gets it away. Tom Court. Doyle. Was there an Edinburgh hand in that?
Yeah.
I think there was. And he's decided it was not a deliberate knock forward, so Ulster will get the scrum. Yeah. Well, it's livened up nicely, Tony, hasn't it?
It has. Ulster have a real chance to go for the jugular here and put a score in this Edinburgh side. Starting to look really comfortable with ball in hand. Great break by Ricky Andrew. A nice interplay with the forwards. And I think WP&L's potentially maybe lucky there not to pick up a yellow for deliberate.
Nice pass by Doyle. No, I think he went for the tackle. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, shall we? John Afoa has left the field. Ricky Lutton has come on. Edinburgh making another change. Tom Brown has come on for Jack Cuthbert.
Ear to ear, thank you. Seconds in. Crouch. Bind.
Still more than 14 minutes to go. Ulster with the 4 tries. Scrum has not been weakened at all by the changes. Good control by Wilson as ever. McKinney had to stretch back inside to Marshall. Clever little pass. Here comes Cave. Well, that hasn't worked out too badly. Cave is still there. What a game Cave is having. Causing Edinburgh all sorts of trouble. Away quickly, perhaps too quickly by Wilson. Picked up by Ross Rennie. Nothing wrong with that. Ricky Lutton straight into it. Ollie Atkins makes a bit of ground for the somewhat beleaguered visitors. Roddy Grant, the skipper. Tom Court, can he go off his feet? Not so. Hart, the replacement scrum half, into Lutton, puts it in his second tackle. Hart again, another man who came from the Warriors, charged down by Tom Court, who was obstructed, and away go Ulster, and it's Mike McComish for his first try. He hasn't quite got it, but he's got it away. And James McKinney might well have got his first try. They might have to go upstairs. Mike McComish was very close, and he was hauled down, and he sensibly and cleverly, I think, got it away.
Just go back to the ruck as well, make sure that white player was onside for me.
Yeah. He's going to go back here and have a look at Tom Court, and I think Tom Court is offside before he's able to evoke the charge down.
Well, of course, they are entitled to go back a couple of phases to see what happens. So was Tom
you can
Court
just see
offside?
Tom Court peeking round the side.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think Tom Court's okay. Quite a lot of Tom Court to negotiate, and if Tom Court was onside, then there might have been a penalty because he didn't have the ball.
Neil, hello. The angle that I can see from the ruck looks okay.
Yep.
So now we're going to check the grounding.
Okay.
Well, Peter Ferguson has told the referee that there was no offside by Tom Court, and now he wants to check the grounding. And did McKinney get that down? I'll tell you something, McKinney did get that down. And what a night it's going to be for James McKinney if he gets the thumbs up for this one. The covering tackle was by another replacement by Sam Baird. And I don't think he stopped McKinney getting his first Ulster try.
I have a decision. You may award the try.
I may award the try?
Correct.
Thank you, Peter. Time on.
It is the try, and James McKinney is the try scorer.
You've got to take your hat off to Michael McComish there for the offload as well. First of all, putting himself in the support position, and secondly, being able to free his hands in the tackle. And McKinney, again, like any good halfback, following up, able to pick up the pieces and score the try.
Well, there was that pickup, and look at McComish. He's got plenty of pace. Across came Tonks, and what an inside pass by Mike McComish. And a fair old turn of speed, and his dad Graham, who I played with many years ago, was a Northern Ireland 200-metre Commonwealth Games sprinter. Wee bit quicker than his son. Here's James McKinney to convert his own try. This is such a tight angle. He's got underneath that. Oh, he's done it again, McKinney. 7 out of 7. What a splendid exhibition of place kicking. And the icing, and the cherry on top of the icing was his first Ulster try.
He's played very, very well. Obviously his goal kicking is one of the main things that the coaching staff will look at, but his general all-round play has been fantastic. And as the game has gone on, he's really grown into it. By no means looks out of place.
Well, there hasn't been a single kick between the posts that hasn't had a wee bit of doubt about it, but it doesn't matter, they've all got there. As Andrew Trimble finds touch, and about 12 minutes remaining, and Ulster leading by 41 points to 5. 5-0 down they were at one stage, and we thought, is this going to be a bad night at the office? Oh, ye of little face. Well, Johan Muller must be very happy. He's not showing it. David Humphreys gives very, very little away. And you know him better than most, Tony.
The ultimate poker player.
Well, here's a young man coming on for his very first Ulster cap and didn't expect to be here. And this David Shanahan, who's come on, formerly of the Leinster Academy, picked up by Ulster at this level. Edinburgh won the ball. Hart got it away, so congratulations to David Shanahan on his first Ulster cap. Came on as a sub for the Ulster Ravens against the Connacht Eagles at Derrimore last weekend.
Away 17.
11 minutes remaining. Oh, Hart nearly got away. Good work by McKinney. Not just a kicker or a try scorer, he can defend as well. James Hilterbrand is on for Edinburgh, the replacement hooker.
No, you came in the first time and flopped over. I gave you the benefit of falling. Second time side entry.
He's been pretty sharp at the breakdown, Neil Hennessy, tonight. I mean, he's left people in absolutely no doubt why the penalty's being given.
No, absolutely, and he's talked as well, which is important. Guys know exactly where they stand, but they also know what they're getting into as they arrive. He's calling for the release. He's saying no, stay on your feet. Everything that you want.
It has been a very good little spell for Ulster. It was a quiet spell at the start of the second half, as was the case at the start of the first, but they've really burst into life, and 2 first half tries have been followed by 3 second half tries. Wilson, Shanahan to Mike McComish.
Advantage black.
Knocked forward by Ulster, a rare error by Robbie Dyack, the Ulster captain for tonight. What a night it's been for him. Here's a Tiga. Oh, good offload. This is nicely done. This is Brown, is very quick. Wee bit more of it. Out to Atkins. Good strong run by the big second row. Can he make it to the line? Oh, what a good bit of defending. Nelson came right back at him and has held him up. Ulster determined not to have that line crossed again. Under 10 minutes to go. Charge down. Got away. McComish. McKinney. Gilroy. Off he goes. He's got somebody outside him. Darren Cave, I think, the man in support, and McComish gets to the breakdown quickly. Referee's given the penalty against Ulster.
Was formed.
A couple of Ulster guys down with cramp as well. But again, good defence by Ulster, but I think Alan Solomons knew exactly what was going to be coming ahead of him tonight, bringing his Edinburgh side here to an Ulster team who are traditionally very strong at home, but my goodness, he's got a lot of work in front of him with this Edinburgh side as well, and perhaps tonight he's getting a flavour for what's involved.
What a good tackle that was by young David Shanahan. Straight into the action, and look at the red-haired Peter Nelson. Held the man up, pulled him back, and prevented a certain try. Gilroy decided not to give it to Cave, and Cave, did he go off his feet there? I think he probably did. Somebody's down with a bit of cramp. Off has gone WP Nell, and the vastly experienced Jeff Cross, qualified medical doctor, capped 23 times for Scotland, has come on as the replacement tight head prop, so that'll probably certainly strengthen the Edinburgh scrummage, although it's a bit late in the day for that.
Yeah, it's pretty comfortable to say the game is over at this stage, and I think Ulster's main concern now will be getting out without any major injuries. There's no doubt over what the result's going to be, but they won't want to see any further major long-term blows in the injury front.
Well, Darren Cave has gone off the field. I don't know that Ulster have got anybody else to bring on at this stage.
The ball is there.
Here come Edinburgh again.
Away 20.
A late try would certainly take a bit of the gloss off Ulster's win, but Ulster determined that's not going to happen. Oh, that's well passed, and it is going to happen. And in the corner goes Dougie Fife. Only member, as we mentioned, of this Edinburgh starting 15, actually born in Scotland. And Dougie Fife gets the archetypal consolation try for Edinburgh. So they got the first try of this game, and one wonders how they got the very last try of this game. They got it away quite nicely. That was a very good cut-out pass. Craig Gilroy came up quickly. Niall Annette couldn't stop Dougie Fife from going over in the corner.
Yeah, Ulster down to 14 defenders. I just caught down the outside. Perhaps Craig Gilroy had the cover inside and maybe could have kept a little bit more width and depth. Decided to almost press looking for the intercept, but wasn't able to make it.
Harry Leonard's been waiting a long time for another kick at the Ulster posts. Well, he struck it nicely as he pulled it in. No, he hasn't. Just a little bit on the short side. So 7.5 minutes remaining. Ulster leading by 41 points to 10.
Darren Cave's patched up and coming back on to finish the game here.
He has had a very, very good game for Ulster. One of his best games, I'm delighted to say. James McKinney, who's had the archetypal dream evening. Good work in there by Tom Court, who set up the James McKinney try with a brave charge down. Ulster tried again. That was Hart. Gilroy, nice little check. Shanahan wasn't really expecting that, but he's taken it well and he's presented it nicely. Roger Wilson. Good help from Niall Arnett. This is Shanahan.
Advantage, knock, dropped.
I think the ball was knocked forward by Dan Toohey there. Referee's playing advantage to Edinburgh, maybe looking for another one.
Advantage over.
Ooh, this could be interesting. Brown, well tackled by Andrew Trimble, who's got him in a vice-like grip, but Edinburgh get it away. Hart. That's the replacement prop, Jeff Cross.
Waiting.
Harry Leonard, who's been there from the start. Ulster up quickly. Ross Rennie.
Out, white.
Hart again. That was a high tackle on Beard. Referee's got the hand out. Darren Cave has banged heads with somebody, I think.
Keep the mark for me there.
Referee's still playing. Oh, right through as Roddy Grant, the Edinburgh skipper, needs a bit of help. He's got it. It's going to be a try, and Hart, I think, has got over the line, but has he got it down?
Time off.
Well, somebody has got underneath that, and it might well have been Peter Nelson again, but has he done enough to stop the try?
Hey, Neil, I've got you.
Try yes or no, please.
Try yes or no.
Thank you.
It's all about the grounding. Ulster's defence just suddenly opened up a little bit, and they may well have conceded a couple of tries in the last few minutes, which will, well, as I say, take a little bit of the gloss off it. Have a look at this, Tony.
Yeah, he's just had a stumble. It almost looked easier to score than it was not to score whenever he received the ball. Peter Nelson's done very well. I think that's probably a score. He's just got the tip end of the ball down, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. Nelson did well and tried to turn him, but the momentum, I think, helped with the downward pressure. I think it was contact.
You may award the try.
Yeah, try's going to be given.
Thank you, Peter. Time on.
So the try has been scored by Edinburgh. And now, well, 41-5 looked pretty good. 41-15, Ulster will, I think, settle for that one, Tony.
Yeah, I think it's all about damage limitation here. There was a fearful crack of heads between Trimble and Cave in the lead up to that score. Both of the guys receiving attention as we speak. Just here, just in the spin. That's a real dunter there. Ooh, cheekbone to cheekbone.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. Here's Harry Leonard to convert the try. Looks pretty straightforward. And that is a good kick by Harry Leonard. And Edinburgh have come back in pretty decent fashion and have closed the gap from 41-5 to 41-17. Darren Cave, I think, is definitely leaving the field. It leaves also with 14 men, because I calculate they've got all the replacements on as it is.
Yeah, I think potentially this may be a head or a blood bin. So
if it is a blood injury, then they can bring somebody on.
Yeah, it looks like Paul Marshall's coming back on to equalise the numbers again.
Time on, please.
Well, one wonders who's going to play where then. Ulster restart. Less than 5 minutes remaining. There's the try scorer, Hart. Oh, well taken by Ulster, by Craig Gilroy. With a fabulous take. Shanahan. Ricky Lutton. Oh, that's good work by Ulster. They're across that halfway line. Sean Doyle. Shanahan nicely away. McKinney.
Hold.
Trying to get it in behind the Edinburgh defence. He's done well. There's the try scorer, or one of the try scorers, Dougie Fife. And that's not a bad kick by Fife.
A little bit of a strange decision there, potentially. Ulster looked as if they had the numbers out wide, and maybe the option was on just to keep it and go through the hands, stretch the Edinburgh defence. And James McKinney's tried to sort of put the reverse kick in, which Edinburgh have been well positioned for and cleared the touch.
This is the markings.
Well, if Edinburgh could manage another try, that would be a bonus point for the 4 tries. They've got about 3.5 minutes in which to do it. Niall Arnett. Good line out. McComish, Shanahan, McKinney, Roger Wilson. Shanahan away quickly, nicely done. Nelson. Shanahan again. Dan Toohey burst into this game as a replacement for Ian Henderson. Mike McComish. Shanahan Tom Court.
Hands out, Black!
Referee telling Edinburgh to get their hands out of it. Paul Marshall in there like a back row forward. Andrew Trimble taken down by Dupree. Ball has been spilled forward. Atiga just decides to put boot to it. Well covered by Gilroy. Came from the far side. Gets away from one man. Gets away from two. Here goes Gilroy. Little chip and chase. Mark is called for and is given to Harry Leonard. Might have been a wee bit of clever off the ball obstruction there by Tom Court.
Potentially Gilroy read that very well. He was moving meters and meters before we actually see him come into camera shot. And again, didn't really have any other option apart from that. No support with him, so he's tried to chip and chase. But it has been terrific to see him back in an Ulster jersey again. That was cleared by the Edinburgh replacement, the 23-year-old Sam Baird, winning his first Edinburgh cap. A couple of minutes to go.
Oh, forget, don't worry about it. One, step out.
Tom Court has a word with Niall Annette. Ulster have got the full 7-man line out. Tui's in the middle. McComish at the back, nicely taken. Shanahan, Wilson. Never less than 100% he gives. Shanahan again, Niall Annette. Ulster into the 22. The referee called for the maul. And that's good defending by Edinburgh, just keeping Ulster off the ground, and they get the put into the scrum.
Same as the one you hold on to over there, no problem.
I think you have to give a little bit of credit to Edinburgh here. At 41 points to 5, they were out the gate and looking at a real cricket score, and they've come back with 2 scores. They've manned up defensively in this last 10 or 15 minutes as well, and I'm sure Alan Solomons, if you would have offered him potentially a bonus point before the game, he would have taken it, and maybe out of their range now, but good second half performance by them, something to build on.
It was 20 points to 5 to Ulster at half time, and they stretched that to 41 points to 5, and now it's 41-17. Edinburgh coming back with 2 late tries, one of them converted. And this may well be the last set piece of this game. And it's been a very good set piece that has helped Ulster to dominate this Edinburgh side. Grayson hard to put in. Ricky Lutton on the Ulster tight head side.
Delaying the scrum.
Free kick against Ulster for delaying the contact. Here comes Tonks. No way through Andrew Trimble. There's a surprise. Hard to try scorer. Dyack up quickly. That's gone loose.
Time is yours, Neil.
Referee has said that's been a knock forward, and he will probably blow for the final whistle. There's no time. And Ulster have come back from a disappointment last time out at Parky Scarlets against the Clonethley Scarlets, and they've won this game despite conceding a couple of late tries to Edinburgh. Ulster get the bonus point win, and their campaign is very much back on the rails. Ulster have won this game pretty handsomely, as it turned out, and the final scoreline: Ulster 41 and Edinburgh 17.
Full house at Ravenhill tonight. Certainly enjoyed that entertaining game. I hope you did at home as well. 8 tries, 5 for Ulster, 3 for Edinburgh. Andy Nicholl, Bryn Cunningham have been watching. Comfortable Ulster victory in the end, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, we said at the very top of the programme there was a gulfing class between the two sides, and we saw that come out in the full time. I mean, Edinburgh, both halves started each half pretty well and were competitive, but ultimately they fell away, and Ulster were by far the better side.
Yeah, Ulster a bit sluggish at the start of that second half, but once they got going, they really did click, Bryn, didn't they?
Yeah, we mentioned before about the individual brilliance of some of the Ulster backs in particular, and I think once the game starts to loosen up a little bit as well, you could see at the back line, you could pick out almost every single one of the Ulster back line of having a very, very good game. Everybody contributed to at least 1 or 2 line breaks. They were constantly looking to get their hands on the ball, to get through the tackle, keep the ball alive, which is a key part of it, run some good angles. And once the pack started to dominate a little bit as well, some of those collisions in the breakdown area, it was always going to be fairly one-sided.
James McKinney, the man of the match tonight. He scored a try, kicked 7 out of 7, flawless performance on his first Pro 12 start. It doesn't get any better than that, does it?
Absolutely. I mean, I was really impressed when I said at half-time. I really enjoyed watching when he had the ball in hand because he looked confident. But his kicking was outstanding, both from hand and from the ground. You know, flawless, as you say. I mean, some of these, they're not easy kicks. They weren't like all 5 tries were inside, and they had a good support line. And look with that, another one on the touchline. So he converts his own try. He's just getting cocky then.
I think that's a key thing. 7 from 7, but they were all very difficult kicks.
Well, there is the man of the match. Let's hear from him. He's talking to Gavin Andrews.
Well, James, a lot of congratulations from your teammates on the way in. You seem very comfortable out there.
Okay, no, it was good. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, haven't played a lot in the last few while, but it was nice to get everyone out there tonight. And obviously, the main thing was we got a good win, and the boys played well. So I enjoyed it. Yeah, certainly a good occasion.
How are you feeling 20 minutes in when Edinburgh seemed to be making it tough?
I mean, it's only 20 minutes into the game. There's a lot of time to change that. It was just a couple of basic errors here and there. You know, just a slip tackle, a charge down or something that let them into the game a bit. But apart from that, we felt pretty comfortable.
You had a fair bit of experience around you. How much of a help was that?
It's obviously massively helps a lot to have a lot of those Irish boys coming back this week, and then a lot of the boys up front too, the likes of John, who know what they're doing. I've been around the block once or twice, so it obviously that massively helps me and takes a bit of weight off my shoulders, which is a big thing.
Congratulations, James.
Cheers, thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, Robbie Diak, captain this evening, and capped that off with a nice try as well.
Yeah, it was a really good try actually, and this was after, as we said earlier, a wee bit of a sluggish start to the second half, but you know, it was a good line. I mean, they had forward dominance all night, and they were able to exert it, and you know, it was just good control. They kept going, they kept their shape. You know, they weren't panicking. They just, you know, Edinburgh defended it quite well. It splintered off. But what I liked here was just the way that Paul Marshall controlled things here, because he just brought. Wait till you see this here. How he brings Diak into the game. He just delays it slightly, holds it up, and Diak comes over. Really good play by Paul Marshall.
I thought Robbie Diak as well, in particular, had a really big game tonight. I thought he led from the front. It's his first time captaining the side, and he obviously felt he had to put in a big performance, and he did that.
And Craig Gilroy, as we said, first game back since the start of October. He looked sharp enough, didn't he?
That's winger's intuition, you know. To be fair, if you look at that again, the out half, he just shapes up. It's a little bit telegraphed. Gilroy just sees it. You don't see it in that shot, but in the wider angle, you see Gilroy just all of a sudden seeing it, realising he's going for the big miss-out pass. I've got an opportunity here.
And with the James McKinney try, the referee, still seeing Craig Gilroy here, but when we see the James McKinney try, the referee went to the video ref and unfortunately perhaps missed a forward pass. That was the only thing we didn't look at.
Well, up here we thought there was 3 reasons why this try should have been awarded. Offside there at the contact. This looked a forward pass. After that, he got it right because it was a good touchdown by McKinney, and as I say, I think he's offside there. Now there's a penalty against. This looks like a forward pass there, but you know what? It's inconsequential in the outcome of the game. But good support by McKinney.
I think his support lines are the key thing there. Everybody's looking to get onto the ball. I think that was the key for Ulster all night. Anytime somebody made a half break, there was another Ulster player getting right on that ball to try and carry the momentum forward.
Sorry your visit back to Ravenhill hasn't been too enjoyable for you tonight, Andy. Great to have you with us tonight. Bryn, thank you very much indeed. It's been a comfortable Ulster win this evening. Next up for Ulster is an away trip to the Italian Tide Zebra, and you'll be able to see that match live on the BBC Sports website next Saturday afternoon from 2 o'clock. But tonight, Ulster bounce back with a bonus point win from all of us here at Ulster Rugby headquarters. I hope you enjoyed the game. Let's bye-bye.